Hi, and welcome to the 12th day of the 21-day self-esteem series that I'm doing. And today we are going to talk about self-confidence. And it is important because I think confidence is something that we all desire, something that most of us want. But at the same time, we feel very confused, or we seem to be desperate to have it, but there's no clear way to reach it. Or even if we do apply the tips and tricks that we find online, we end up we end up with confidence that doesn't feel real. We end up faking it, and we do realize that I like, it didn't change nothing, it didn't change much. So today we are going to talk about self-confidence, and we are going to talk about, definitely how it is correlated to having an unhealthy self-esteem, and how does lack of confidence affect your life. And definitely by the end you are going to see how you can actually build a foundation of self-confidence in yourself. And I'm also going to bust some myth as we go into this video. So let's start right off. So first thing that I want to make it clear is that, you know what, confidence is one of the most visible outcome of having an unhealthy self-esteem. So when you have an unhealthy self-esteem, which is, when you do not see yourself in a very, empowering way, or when you when you have a kind of, distorted self-image, it actually affects your life in all ways. So every area of your life gets affected. You develop some tendencies, you develop a critical voice, and a lot of things happen. But one of the most visible outcome, one of the most visible outcome of it is your lack of confidence. Something that I think, something that actually affects you, or actually makes you feel the lack of a healthy self-esteem every minute, every second. So today's topic is important because we are going to talk about something that is very much prevalent, and that is something uh, something which actually creates consequences in our life. That is something that is, very much undesirable, something that we would like to undo. So let's start right off. So first is, let's understand what is self-confidence. So I think there are a lot of definition, but I would like to keep it very simple. So self-confidence, how I like to define, is first is being aware of yourself, knowing who you are, and second is being okay with that, accepting it, being comfortable with that. So self-confidence is knowing who you are and feeling comfortable in it, that is accepting it. Self-confidence is having that belief in yourself that, okay, I know who I am and I accept it. I'm not running away from it. I'm not denying it. I'm not avoiding myself. I'm not rejecting it. Or I do not have a desperate need to change. I do not have a desperate need to uh, become like somebody else. My insecurities are not very loud in my mind. My insecurities do not run my life. My insecurities are not present in my mind 24 by 7, wanting me to change it, wanting me to get rid of it. Self confidence is to really be okay with who you are. First is knowing who you are and feeling okay with it, accepting it, just accepting it, being in acceptance, believing in yourself. So that is self-confidence. Self-confidence is not being perfect. Self-confidence is not looking perfectly, or looking a certain way, or walking in a certain way, or talking in a very perfect manner, even though that is how we perceive self-confidence. Because one truth is that when you have self-confidence, when you have the foundation of self-confidence, how you do things, how you talk, how you work, the way you dress up, the way you look, the way you hold yourself, all of these changes. And hence we start to think that, self-confidence is to look a certain way, self-confidence is to talk in a certain manner. No, it's the other way around. First you develop the self-confidence, and then how you talk or how you hold yourself automatically changes. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to become perfect to be, to be confident. First you have to just first you just need to develop that acceptance, that self-awareness, that being okay in my body. Then automatically those things changes, because the way you see yourself, when the way you see yourself changes, when how you think, how much you think you deserve changes, the way you treat yourself changes, the way you hold yourself also changes. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. Okay, so, and I think this topic is very much important, because I think self-confidence is something that a lot of us desire. We all seem to be wanting more confidence, all the time, that, okay, I want to be more confident. Okay, so let's crack it up today. So next is, let's understand, now we need to understand difference between two kind of self, two kind of confidence. So first is, there is this self-confidence. Second is, there is skill-based confidence. We oftentimes confuse these both when they are not same. So self-confidence is what I described right now. The second type of confidence, which is skill-based confidence, is is how much confident you feel in particular skill of yours. So see, when it comes to skill based confidence, it would vary depending upon different skills. So for example, like if I'm learning to drive car, initially my confidence in that skill is going to be less. I'm not going to be very confident in in that particular skill. I'm not going to feel very confident of driving a car in the beginning. But as time goes and as I practice more and more, my confidence would grow. I would feel even more confident of driving a car. Now first is having the skill based confidence. Okay. And second is having self confidence. Oftentimes what happens is we try to compensate for our self confidence by building or focusing on a skill based confidence. We often try to gain our value, or we often try to feel good in ourselves by becoming skilled at something, by becoming pro at one particular skill. But you need to understand that skill based confidence is a highly volatile confidence that that is very much volatile. One day it's up there, second day suppose you messed up, suppose you failed at a project, suppose your client did not like your work and your confidence is here down. So you cannot rely upon your skill based confidence. That's a very that's like that's not a very great way of approaching your life, because that is like depending upon something which is not there, which is not permanent, because that's volatile. Now when it comes to self based confidence, when it comes to self confidence, that is something which is at the core of you. It is not something that grows or goes down with something, or it's not volatile. It's there, it's present in you, there, constant, like it's like a constant thing, like a background theme which is always present there. Skill based confidence functions at the front. It keeps coming. As life goes on, you might pick up some new skills, so it's like ongoing. But your self confidence is something that is at the core of it. In fact, your self confidence will determine your ability to gain skill based confidence also. Because to have skill based confidence, you need to be at a place where you can practice. And to practice means that you do not get that you do not get affected by failures or making mistakes a lot. You will only be able to practice when you're okay with making mistakes, when you allow yourself to take up a lot of chances. When you do not start being critical to yourself upon making a mistake. So when you have self confidence, only then you would be able to build a skill based confidence also effectively. Hence, skill based confidence can come and go, but nothing can compensate for your self confidence. It is most important. It is at the core of you. And self confidence is about the self. It is at the core of it, because you are at the center of it. Your skills are an extension of you, something that you pick, something that you drop with time. Okay. So do not confuse between both. Self confidence is about yourself, your thoughts, your beliefs, how you feel about yourself at the core, how much you believe in yourself, how much you own yourself unapologetically. Skill based confidence is none of these. Skill based confidence is only about a particular skill that you choose. Next topic. Now, how does unhealthy self esteem affects or leads to loss of your self confidence? So by now we know that when we have an unhealthy self esteem, one of the most visible outcome is going to be lack of self confidence. Let's see how. See, when we have an unhealthy self esteem, it basically means that I have a distorted self image, that I have certain limiting negative ideas about myself. And when I have some negative or limiting ideas about myself, I am going to feel small in myself. I am going to feel inferior to others. I'm not going to feel very good in myself. So ultimately, how I'm going to feel about myself gets affected. And when I look down upon myself, when I feel small and inferior in myself, what is that? That is confidence, right? Confidence is not a very tangible thing that you can see with your life, that you can see in your life with your eyes. It is something to be felt. And when you have an unhealthy self-esteem, it leads you to have these undesirable feelings, which affects your confidence, which leads to you losing your confidence over time. Okay. Next, and this is how you lose your confidence. This is how your ability to own yourself, to accept yourself, gets affected, gets hampered. And I think we do not need to talk about what leads to an unhealthy self-esteem, or what leads you to have a distorted self-image. it's all rooted in your childhood, how you grew up or the kind of environment you had. I have talked about it a lot in my previous videos. You can always go back and watch. Okay, so coming to the next topic now, how does your lack of confidence affect your life? So we studied how unhealthy self-esteem affects your leads to loss of confidence, and what is confidence and the difference between self-confidence and skill-based confidence. Let's understand how is your lack of confidence affecting your life presently, right now. So first thing that happens is you hesitate to put yourself out there in front of people, and not just online, not just socially, in physical, in offline dynamic also. So what happens is, when you lack confidence, it is basically that you do not feel good in your body, feeling uncomfortable in your body. And when you feel uncomfortable in your body, it is definitely going to be hard for you to be out there or to just interact with somebody, because then you are not just going and meeting somebody, it's not a casual meetup for you anymore. Because now it's like, first is I'm feeling uncomfortable in this body, still I have to go out and be and interact with somebody, talk with them. So first is I'm talking to them, my energy is focused on that, the conversation that is going on, or looking at them, or understanding what they're saying. Second, half of my energy is also being consumed inside me, that how am I looking? Am I looking good or good or not? Because I am uncomfortable in my own body. I do not believe in myself enough. I do not already feel good in myself. Hence, I am also scared ki, is this person also seeing me as not good enough? Are they also seeing me as less, small, inferior? So automatically it affects your ability to just interact with people or be in a social setting. You feel scared to, like, it becomes a scary task. It becomes something you start to dread. Second thing that happens is you feel scared of messing up or making mistakes. So when you lack your confidence, it basically means that there's a constant feeling of I'm not good enough in you. And how your mind sees making mistake is that when I make mistakes, it means that I'm not good enough. So how you see making mistakes is that making mistake is a proof that I am not good enough. And whenever I feel that I'm not good enough, my this feeling or my confidence would get a hit again and again. So I'm going to keep feeling that loss of confidence again and again. And nobody wants that. We do not want to feel sad or small in ourselves. So to avoid this feeling, what we do is we want to avoid making mistakes only. When in real, making mistake is not a big thing. In fact, if you are learning something new, if you are choosing something new, all right, making mistake is going to be a part of it. You have to make peace with that fact. If not, and when you fail to when you fail to make room for making mistakes for yourself, it's like you devoid yourself of a lot of opportunities in life on your own. So that is what happens when you lack confidence. Making mistakes become a big thing, and to avoid that, you try your best to avoid making mistakes. You actually devoid yourself of a lot of opportunities. You hold yourself back, which means that you also end up not realizing your full potential. Okay. Next is you do not trust yourself enough, hence you rely upon others. Definitely, when you lack your confidence, I do not trust myself. And when I do not trust myself, more than believing in my own opinions, I'm going to listen to that person. I'm going to listen to somebody who I believe they're more than me, they're above me. I'm going to listen to them more. I'm going to trust in their opinion more. Hence, if I'm in a meeting or if I'm in a setting where everybody's putting their opinion, putting what they believe in, or we are talking about something, and I have something to say, I have something to put on the table, because but my fear of making mistake, my belief that I'm smaller than all of these people, I'm inferior to all of these people, then definitely what I have to say is not that important. I would end up not saying it out loud, hence also affecting how I'm my contribution at workspace. When in real, if you did not have this lack of confidence, or if you had a healthy self-esteem, if you would be okay with making mistakes, you would be okay with even receiving criticism, or even receiving that no, or even you would be okay with people disagreeing with your opinions, and you would be able to put up what you want to say, take up your own space. But because none of this is happening, rather it's the opposite of it, you would end up holding yourself back. Okay. And this also affects how you choose for yourself in your life. So this is something you want, but because you do not believe in yourself enough, you already lack trust, you would feel confused a lot, and you would also listen to other people's opinion about it, and you will have a tendency of giving more weightage to their opinions. Okay, and all of these things, fear of making mistakes, feeling scared of putting out your own opinions, feeling scared of being rejected, of being disagreed to, all of these things affect how you choose your career, or how you approach your career, or how you take decisions in your relationships in life. Okay, and I think these are some of the points that I've discussed that happens as a result of uh, lacking confidence. But if we go into details of it, I think lack of confidence affect you, I think, every second of your life. Because when you do not feel good in yourself, how you see life or how you experience life also changes. Okay, and one truth is that when we lack confidence, we start to think that this is how world is. We start to think that this is the truth. When in real, we all see world differently. So your lack of confidence makes you see world differently, but we start to think that that is how it is, when that is not true. When your confidence will change, when you will be able to build a foundation of self confidence in you, the way you see world will also change, and hence your how you experience life would also change. And I think that's a good thing to know. Next is next let's come to the main crux of it. How do you build your self confidence at the core? How can we build? Now online, you know what, when you go online, there will be a lot of tips and tricks, but here I'm not going to talk about that, because I think all those things are very volatile solutions. So you apply them, you fake your confidence, but it actually doesn't help you at the core. It actually doesn't help you in the long term. But today let's talk about things that would actually help you make changes which are irreversible. All right, first thing that you need to do is acceptance needs to happen. Now when I say acceptance, because when we were talking about the root cause of the root cause of lacking or losing self confidence, we talked about having unhealthy self esteem. And when you have an unhealthy self esteem, you know that you do not accept yourself, all right, because you have a distorted image of your own self. And when you do not like somebody, when you have limiting or negative ideas about somebody, you are not going to like them, you are not going to accept them. So to change the things, to build a foundation of confidence, the number one thing that needs to happen is you need to accept yourself. And for this acceptance to happen, two things need to happen. First is understanding yourself. Second is forgiving yourself. And I have actually made a separate video on acceptance also. But here also I will just talk about it, that acceptance is not a feeling that comes up. Acceptance doesn't happen when you are perfect, when you have become the kind of person that you wanted to be, when you have gotten rid of all your insecurities. No, acceptance happens where you are. Acceptance happens where you are, how you are exactly. Okay, and acceptance is a decision that you would only be able to come to when you have practiced two things, which is understanding yourself, when you have understood yourself deeply, and second, when you have forgiven yourself. Let's come to understanding yourself. When I say understanding yourself, what do I mean? So understanding yourself basically means, instead of accusing yourself, instead of blaming yourself, instead of just pointing out or focusing on insecurities and pitting on yourself, you understand yourself. You come from a place that, okay, I understand why I am the way I am, and I understand myself. I'm not open to accusing myself. I'm not going to listen to other people's judgment and judge myself also. Rather, I'm going to be different. I'm going to talk to myself in a supportive manner because I understand myself now. Now, what does forgiving myself mean? Forgiving myself would mean letting go of all the negative feelings, negative and heavy feelings that I have about myself. Because at present, when you lack confidence, you feel negatively, you feel inferior to others, you feel small in your body, you have all negative beliefs about yourself. So forgiveness matlab, to forgive means you do not consider yourself at fault for anything in your life. You stop accusing your own self, you forgive yourself. You realize that whatever I did at any point in my life, previously in the past, it was because that was the best I knew. I was trying my best to survive back then. That was all my younger version knew and could do, and they did their best. And hence now it is time to forgive it, to accept myself with open arms, to accept my all younger versions who did their best. And now here I am to accept them, accept all those versions, and accept my present self also. Because now I understand myself and I accept myself. So this acceptance needs to happen. And when you accept, only then you can change things about yourself. So first is acceptance needs to happen. And when I say acceptance, it also means becoming okay with your insecurities, acknowledging, okay, acknowledging all your insecurities, all your fears that you have, all of those things, acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses, all of those things, not running away from that. Second is, first is acceptance needs to happen. One more thing that needs to happen is, but it's like a follow up of the first step. Only once you have done the first step that we can move to the second step. And the second step is to build an empowering self-image for yourself. And when I say building an empowering self-image, how do we do that? It's by taking new actions in your life. And when I and how do you take action? See, first you realize your value. First you find out your values. First you find out, okay, that what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to grow up into? First we find that out. How do we want to be? And then we work towards becoming that kind of person. And how do we become that kind of how do we become that kind of person? Through taking action, through taking aligned actions. And but you know what, the crux of it is that you would only be able to take these actions once you've accepted yourself, once there's peace, once there's acceptance that, okay, this is who I am right now, I understand why I am this way, and I'm also willing to believe in this version of myself, and hence I'm going to walk on this path. Only then you will be able to take actions also. And why are we focusing on building a self an empowering self image? Because once you build an empowering self image, confidence would be a natural thing. You would start to feel proud of yourself, you would start to feel comfortable. Forget comfortable, you would start to feel proud of your own self, that who you have become over time, that who you are at the core. Right now, what is it right now? All your thoughts and beliefs are overlapped by others' opinion, the feedback that you received. So now, to building an empowering self-image means building new definitions of yourself on your own, finding yourself again. Okay, that is what it means. Now, what is something that you can do right away? Now, these are the solutions that I've talked about. Now, but what is something that you can do right away after this video to start building this kind of self-confidence? First is, I want you to ask yourself, what do I believe about myself? How would I describe myself honestly? And being honest here is most important. It's not about playing a fake game. I'm not asking you to define yourself to me or to somebody else. It's only you. I want you to be honest with yourself. So I want you to really, really sit with your dominant feelings, with your true feelings about your own self. Because when you lack confidence, when you have an unhealthy self-esteem, the first thing that we do is we start to run away from ourselves. We separate from ourselves. We disconnect. Which also means we stop acknowledging our own feelings. We stop listening to our own selves. We stop looking at ourselves. So the number one thing that you have to do is you have to sit with your feelings. No matter how uncomfortable it feels, you need to sit with your feelings. Because confidence is not in any tips and tricks. It needs to come from within. So to build confidence within you, first you need to look what is already within me, so that I can process it, so that I can create space for confidence to, build in there. Now, once you have done this, once you have written down all the things that comes to your mind when you focus on yourself, when you genuinely and honestly look at yourself, next thing I want you to ask yourself is, am I willing to believe in myself beyond this? Or do I believe that I'm more than this? Or do I believe that this is not ultimate truth? I am more than this. I am beyond this. Am I willing to believe that I can be worthy and capable in myself? Am I willing to believe in a version of me or in a timeline where I genuinely feel worthy and capable in myself? Because sometimes in some people what happens is, they are so much entangled into their negative or limiting beliefs that they have that they have been listening to for so long, that they have been carrying or tied themselves to for so long, it becomes difficult for them, or rather uncomfortable for them, to really think and believe ki I can be there also, that I can be at a place where I start to feel worthy and capable in the same body. Because for them, they have considered themselves so useless that they think that there is no scope for transformation in them. But so I want you to ask yourself that, do I believe in my transformation? Do I believe that I can be at that place also? So this was it. Answer these questions, do this activity, and to end before ending this video, I want I want you to know that self confidence will grow with time. The more you take actions, the more empowered actions you take, and all of that, the more you build your uh, self image, empowering self image, empowered self image. But the most important factor remains doing that acceptance thing, because the whole idea of accepting yourself, of doing that understanding and forgiving yourself, means that so that you can so that you can let go of those strong negative limiting beliefs that you already have about yourself, and you need to let go of all those feelings to be able to take actions in your life also. Only then you would be able to give yourself the chances. Only then you would be able to be so compassionate towards your own self that you allow yourself to make mistakes, that you are kind towards your own self, that you have a supportive voice, inner voice. All right, so this was it for today, and it was all about confidence, how you build your confidence, and I think this was very much important because I think confidence is something that we actually aim for, but we often do not know how, and so I think now you have a much clear idea of how you actually build a foundation of self confidence. And if you want to work with me, if you if you want to have a one-on-one call with me, you can actually book our first clarity call. You can have the you can just DM me coaching if you want this, and I'll give you the link. You can book your slot. And so yes, tomorrow will be the day 13th, and I will come with another topic, and we will explore another depth. Today we'll keep it here, and I'll see you tomorrow.